Welcome to another episode from the Random Campfire. This episode will be a woodworking episode, and we're going to be making some training daggers. So there's a hint in there of not only the woodworking but Western martial arts, reenactment, that sort of thing. So these two gentlemen are demonstrating the use of the dagger in medieval combat. So let us have a look at the design that I've chosen to use. As you can see, it's quite basic, and for those wishing to work in old money, that's about a 5.5 inch handle and a 9 inch blade with a diameter of around an inch. So it'll be nice and safe, and the end will be all rounded off. Preparation. For this project we're going to use a pine block that has a diameter that is greater than that we require for the dagger. And is approximately a few centimetres, a couple of inches longer than the overall project. As before, we will need to find the middle in order to mount this on the lathe properly. As you can see, I slightly missed. You can see we've spun it up and it's spun nicely, so we're good to go. Obviously the next job is to turn that square block into something round that at least vaguely looks like it could be turned into a dagger. Go, nice and round and ready to use. The next job is to mark up the positions for all the component parts of the dagger. You can see the lines marking out the two ends of the handle and the end of the blade with the pieces for cutting off at the end. It's now time to start actually turning our cylinder into a training dagger. Normally in wood turning you'd start with the fatter stuff and work down to the thinner, but having had an experience whereby I had to throw away a project when I discovered that a small knot on the surface turned into something much bigger, having already turned the handle. I've had a tendency to reverse the process in making these daggers and start with the blade. So that's the blade turned down roughly, leaving some extra material on there for sanding and finishing later. You can see that I didn't come all the way to the end line and didn't go all the way back to the end lines on the handle. I'll take these down shortly. So next, let's get on to the handle. So that's the handle turned down, again leaving plenty of material on for sanding and finishing, and the front of the handle also taken down now to its marker line. Now that we've roughed out the dagger in its block, it's time to take down the ends. These are the bits that will be discarded and thrown away at the end of the project, so we're going to take down the amount of wood on them and put a groove in that will allow the bandsaw just to finish off the job and cut them away once we've done all the polishing and finishing. So that's the two ends taken down and grooves put in, as you can see, narrowed off so that we can cut them away later. Now that we've done all of the cutting, it's time to get onto some sanding with different grades of sandpaper, working down to the finest, to try and get a nice, smooth and risk-free surface. So that's the sanding down done. As you can see, a much smoother, cleaner finish, and it's now time to look at finishing the dagger so that it has a nice hardened coat on. Now, most of the ones I made had a very simple hard wearing varnish put onto them. This one, I thought, just to be different, I would try doing a beeswaxing on the handle and varnish on the actual blade itself. Brought the grain out quite nicely. It was only a shame that it didn't contrast very well between that and the varnish, but it was definitely worth having a go at. So with all the sanding and finishing finished, it's time to remove those end bits that we prepared to be removed and scrapped. So that's that part now removed. A little bit of sandpaper on the ends just to tidy it up, but all in all we're now complete. So after all the hard work, it's time to reveal the results of our labours. So here we have 5 reasonably matched daggers. One in the centre is the one that has the beeswaxed handle. As you can see, the contrasting really didn't happen, but it was worth having a go at, as I say. So that's the standard set. Then I did a special request one, which has a walnut stain finish and a jewel inset into the pommel, just to make it that bit more unique. And then for some strange reason I decided that it was time to play with something even more complicated. This is a teak handle with an inset of an ash blade, cut in exactly the same way, but in this case made in two parts and then joined after the finishing was all done. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of from the Random Campfire. I look forward to seeing you again in the future. If you've liked it, then click your like, click your follow, and we'll see you again.